Everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how you can use JavaScript web workers to perform any kind of an operation on a background thread. So suppose if you have an expensive operation which janks or create UI janks in your app, you can do that using web workers, and it is really very simple. Now just to be clear with you, you can't perform any kind of UI manipulation or DOM manipulation, document or window kind of stuff on web worker. You can only perform business logic or API calls, those kind of things on a web worker. So let's get started. So here I have this app, and once I click on start, here you can see that it takes some time to load this data. Now forget about all this data, that's not important. And there is this progress bar as well. Like if you have some high-end computer, then this might be pretty fast for you, even though I am doing all this on UI thread or on the main thread. But if you have a low-end computer, you might feel a little bit of jank. So let's get started how to do this. So first I will show you without web worker. So here I have an HTML file, okay, and it loads two JavaScript file, distance and process. Here I have one progress value, I have one button, and I have one div for showing the output. Now if you see distance.js, here I am just performing some mathematical calculation. Now this is not important, you can do any kind of long running operation inside your JavaScript file. Next I have this data.json file as well, which has a list of all the like countries, continent, capitals. I have just hard coded all this data. Now you can also do the same. And inside process.js, what I'm doing, I'm first fetching all the data from our data.json, okay, then I'm just assigning it to our data variable. Then once this start method is called, so if you remember on the button click, we are calling the start method. So in process.js, once the start method is called, we are looping over each and every country. We are assigning it to our HTML, whatever is the distance. So we are calculating for each and every country and just assigning it to our HTML element, and then we are just using the help of document.query selector, we are assigning the value as well as the inner HTML. So this is for the progress bar, and this is for the div of output tag, output class. No, it is output ID, I think. Yeah, it has an output ID. So for that I'm just assigning this. So here you can see we are calling the distance from our distance.js file and performing calculation on each and every country. So that's why, like, this is a long running task or an expensive operation. That's what causes it for a jank. Again, if you have a high-end computer, you won't feel the jank. For that you might want to add even more countries or perform some kind of even more bad code, like expensive operation, so that you can really see the jank. Now how do I go about removing this jank? Okay, so what I'll do is, I have another project, exact same project. Now I will run this on my so I will just run this project using, so this project is using web worker, and if I just quickly refresh this, okay, it is running on the same URL. And if I click on start, here you can see it is much more I'm not sure if that's visible to you because it pretty much looks the same, but here it is much more smooth, and it doesn't causes any UI jank. One more thing to note is that if you are testing this on Safari or older version of any other browser, this document loading part, even though we are using web worker which the example I will show you in a bit, this showing the details on this document do take a little bit of time. If you are using some modern browser, this won't happen to you. I have noticed that even in newer version of Safari, I was facing this issue, like this document loading part did take a bit of time, even though I was using web worker, because showing the actual content on the DOM element or whatever element you are using happens on the UI thread, okay. But in Firefox, Chrome and Edge, it happens pretty quick with the help of web worker. So let's see how to do this. So first what I did was, same, the HTML remains exactly the same. Only thing which I have done is that I have removed the distance.js script, and I will let you know why I have removed it. Everything else remains the same, okay. Next, the distance.js file, that also remains the same. Next, data.json file, that also remains the same. Next, in process.js, so here I have created a new web worker, and this is how you create a web worker, like new worker, whatever is the name of your web worker file. So here I have named it as worker.js, but you can name it whatever you feel like, and I have given it a name as cities. If you want, you can give it whatever name you feel like. Next, I have added an event listener. This event listener is listening for data from our worker side. So whenever I want, so like I told you, right, I can't do UI manipulation on web worker. So for that, I can only do it on the main thread, and this process.js is running on the main thread. So here I am listening for data from our web worker, and whenever I get some data, I am performing UI calculation or manipulating the DOM. And to start the web worker, here you can see the start method is called on the button click. Okay, and once that is called, to start the web worker, all you have to do is worker.post message, and this can be anything. Okay, here I am passing a JavaScript object, but you can pass a string, number as well, whatever you feel like. Again, you can't pass document, windows, those kind of thing. Okay, so here I have just passed action : start. Again, this key can be anything, this value can be anything. So if you go to worker.js, so here I am doing the same thing. If you remember, I am like fetching data.json. Now this will run on background thread. Now here, to use this distance.js file, you have to write import scripts distance.js. This is how you import another JavaScript file inside your web worker. If you had directly written this inside your script src distance.js, then this worker, and if you don't write something like this, then this worker will get confused on where can I access this distance function from. So to access this distance function, you have to write import scripts distance.js. Then here I have added one event listener message. So this is listening for event from the process.js file or from our UI side. So here you can see this is the start thing, and here I am also listening for start, and here whatever key you have defined, we have defined action, right? That's why I'm referring to action, event.data.action equal to start, and here I'm just writing the start method. Once the start method is called, then here again, even though this is an HTML, I am not doing any DOM manipulation. This is just a variable name. Okay, and I'm just looping over it, and I'm just appending it to our variable. Okay, again, I'm not doing any DOM manipulation, and here I'm just doing distance calculation, same which we had in our process.js in the previous example which I showed you. Same thing. Now once I get the progress, I want to send it back to process.js because I can't do DOM manipulation inside worker.js. So to send that data, so all you have to do is self.post message action, give some name, and here again this can be anything. For simplicity, I am passing a JavaScript object of key action progress, so that because I am passing multiple data, right, I need to differentiate which data is which. So for progress bar, how much progress has happened, I am sending it like this. And if you remember, inside process.js, I am listening for message. Okay, then I am listening for this progress key, and whatever is the progress, so event.data.data, if you remember, we are passing it in form of data. So event.data would be common, but this would change. Okay, so whatever key you have defined this on the worker side, that you will have to use over here. And that's how our document.query progress bar has been updated, because we are writing the query selector on the main thread itself or UI thread. And for sending the entire HTML output, I have created another action for posting messages, action of output, and then I'm sending data of HTML. So here you can see output and dot inner HTML, again event.data.data, because this data key is being used over here. The event.data part will remain same for everyone. So yeah, that's it, how you can use web worker to perform expensive or long running operation inside your JavaScript web app. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.